What up, YouTube Elleix? Come back at you with another custom StarCraft 2 cast. Today, we have a mirror matchup featuring the Scion Custom Races mod. If you're not familiar with this mod, it adds 3 new playable races to the StarCraft universe, and the balance is rather impressive. Fun fact, this was the first mod I ever covered on this channel, so it's about time I covered another one. Let's go ahead and introduce our players, and we'll talk a little bit more about this mod. Spawning on the top right-hand side of the map, it's our teal Genetron player Terrarn going up against his opponent. Spawning on the bottom left-hand side of the map, it's our green Genetron player Relax. Now, the Genetron play a bit like a hybrid between the Protoss and the Terrarn. As you can see, these buildings are basically 3D printing themselves. It's a lot like the warp mechanic for the Protoss. All you have to do is select where you want to build something, and that is it. But obviously, the aesthetic is a lot more like the Protoss. From what I was told, the Genetron are basically an AI race built by the Terrarn. Now, right off the bat, actually, I'm seeing what is potentially a one-base all-in coming from Terrarn. That's just a guess. I can't confirm that, but we do have a little bit of early tech coming out from this player. The first Blitzer is on the field. Now, this Blitzer is basically a Marauder, but it shoots up and down versus the Spitfire, which is our Marine equivalent, which only shoots down. So the Blitzer is just one kind of like half tier above our first unit that we could build, and it requires this analysis terminal right by our processing core here. The processing core is the main mining structure for the Genetron. Meanwhile, taking a look at what Relax is doing, he's already got an expansion in the natural base location, and this is the Marine equivalent I was talking about. This is the Spitfire. So if we have a Blitzer rush from Terrarn really early into this game, that might put Relax in a really tough position. 2 Blitzers already on the way, and I think we already have a Blitzer chilling at the front door of the natural base location. I suspect once those 2 Blitzers join this one, we're going to see a push into the main base for our green Genetron player. And no expansion to speak of for Terrarn just yet. So this is kind of looking like a one-base all-in almost. I mean, he does have the nodes here, our supply depot equivalents, chilling in the natural base location. That tells me he's eventually going to expand. It might depend on how much damage he can do from this push. And here we go. The Blitzers making themselves known. Relax, losing a Spitfire immediately. 1 Blitzer going down as well, though. Now it's 2 Spitfires to 2 Blitzers. Never mind, 2 more Blitzers joining the party for Terrarn. Oh no, this is looking rough. Taking a look at the units, what do we have? We have literally no army units right now for our green Genetron player. We have 7 Blitzers for Terrarn, our teal Genetron player. This is a crazy push already, and this is now looking like a one-base all-in. There is no expansion to speak of in the natural base location for our teal player. Oh, no. Now, the Blitzers do have a couple abilities here that they can use. Actually, a few abilities. They have the Overdrive ability. They also have a Supercharger ability. I'll tell you guys what those do in a moment once the action has slowed down. Oh, no. Another Blitzer joining the party. Okay, so here we go. We have Overdrive. This increases the movement speed by 50% for 4 seconds for the Blitzer. Supercharger, while active, attacks will use 25 energy and power if available. Boosted attacks deal 150% bonus damage as spell damage. Is activated for 8 seconds before automatically deactivating. So that is a really good ability for the Blitzer. Now, Terrarn could straight up push and possibly win the game, but just as I said that, there are a lot of Spitfires here to push the Blitzers away. Relax may be overextending just a little bit with those Spitfires getting caught by these extra reinforcing Blitzers. There is also an expansion coming down for our teal Genetron player, as we can see on the mini-map. So some non-stop action from both these players, and it looks like Relax may be able to keep this push at bay and survive. How many workers were killed? Only 4 workers killed by the teal player. So all things considered, this isn't the end of the world. Let's take a look at the resources lost. 1,700 resources lost for green, 1,500 resources lost for teal. So really a pretty even matchup. All things considered. Ooh, the equalizer on the field as well. Now the equalizer Equalizer, excuse me, is an anti-armor, I think a ground-only attacker. Yes, it is. So here it has a Stratum Missile Pod. This weapon deals bonus damage equal to 10% of the target's maximum vitals and energy, caps at plus 28, so that's really not that bad. One thing to mention about the Genetron is they also have a shared energy pool. So as you can see, this blue energy bar, this is energy that is shared across all Genetron units. So if you're trying to use an energy ability and your shared energy bank is effectively depleted, you can't use them. I learned that the hard way. Many times, let me tell you. It's something that you have to get used to, considering that it is not a thing in vanilla StarCraft, or vanilla StarCraft 2 for that matter. More Blitzers kind of roaming around. These living debris piles will be destroyed. This one Blitzer's like, hey, you know what? This is a relatively safe job. I will ideally not get killed by destroying these debris piles. Now Relax, I think, happy to have a moment to himself and rebuild, and one of my favorite units of all time in this mod, the Fixer. I feel like I say that about every single unit that stands out to me, but I promise the Fixer is one of my favorite units. This is a healing unit, and considering that all units are mechanical for the Genetron, it heals virtually everything that you own, and it also shoots up and down, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, sorry, it only shoots down, but it does have an offensive capability, which I think is super, super cool. Now, taking a look at what the teal player is up to, what do we have on the production tab, actually? So we have more tech vaults being built. There's more ACRs being built. So the ACRs are our SCV equivalents for the Genetron. And the third base coming down for our green Genetron player, Relax, as well. Taking a look at the army supply, or the total supply, sorry, it looks like 74, now 76 supply to 73 supply in favor for our green player, but virtually identical. Not going to lie about that. And this is a lot of Blitzer, so it looks like Terrarn possibly going for a mono Blitzer play, which I am not mad about. I've seen this before in my previous cast, and it worked out very well for the Genetron players. But these Blitzers kind of getting accidentally scouted. The node going down as well. How is Relax going to react to this? He's kind of prepared, going towards the natural base location, but Terrarn taking a little bit more time. I think he's waiting for more of his Blitzers to reinforce this army. Now, the processor unit, I forgot to point out, this is effectively a high-speed uncloaked observer, but it also heals units, or sorry, it restores energy for units. So it doesn't heal them, but it does restore energy. So 4 energy per 1 energy and power. So it's got system rechargeability. Pretty cool, something that we haven't really seen. And also one of my favorite units, the Mole. Take a shot every time I say one of my favorite units, because I swear there's probably going to be more. The Mole is effectively a siege tank, but it can also morph into kind of like a sensor tower. Ooh, the torrent here. Will it go down? It may go down. It's in the front of the line. The torrent, more of an anti-air unit than anything, if I'm recalling that correctly. Excuse me. This Fixer desperately trying to heal all these Blitzers. It's like a shepherd. It's like, okay, guys, let's run back home. Let's go back to the homestead, because there's only one of me and like a bunch of you, actually. How many are there? 22 Blitzers. Now we have another Fixer. And, okay, so 3 Fixers, not too bad, but that's a lot of Blitzers to be healing for the 3 Fixers. That is for sure. Supply is still relatively even, a slight lead for our green Genetron player. This Mole is now in its basically siege mode. So it will be able to shoot, but it won't be able to move. Now, the difference between a siege tank and a Mole is once the Mole is unburrowed, it is vulnerable. It cannot attack. Something to consider if you guys feel like playing the Scion Custom Races mod. And if you guys are new to my channel, I cast custom StarCraft 2 content all the time. So if custom StarCraft 2 is something you're interested in watching more of, please consider subscribing to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. Also, go ahead and send me your replays, because I would love to cast more community games. That is for sure. Ooh. And the Virtus. So the Virtus is a really cool unit. This thing is a tank that can heal on the spot, but when it heals, it holds still and it can't attack. It's basically like a system shutdown. but it heals while it is shut down. Also uses that shared energy pool, though, so keep that in mind. We have a potential big engagement, but I think base number 3 is in danger for Terrarn. Relax, finding himself in a bit of a situation, though, getting surrounded. All these Blitzers doing so much work, but the equalizers will do extra damage to the Blitzer, I believe. Ultimately, though, it looks like Terrarn will come out ahead in this engagement and also was able to save base number 3. Let's take a look at the resources lost. Still relatively even, though. 6,300 resources lost to 5,500 resources lost, so a slight lead for Teal, but not that crazy. I'd love to see some air units in this game. We have some really cool air units that the Genetron have at their disposal, but it looks like this is going to be ground versus ground for the time being. Looks like base number 4 is being positioned kind of in an interesting spot. I would kind of put it right here, but it looks like we have these two ACRs that are just kind of beefing, but not attacking each other. Those are enemy ACRs, by the way. Base number 3 now in jeopardy for Relax. A couple vertices here, but I don't think this is enough. These Blitzers really getting up into Relax's business. Some ACRs being pulled off the mineral line as well, trying to tank some of this damage, but the Blitzers, there are just too many of them, and they do have the Fixer support, and the Fixers are actually dealing some DPS, but the Fixer on this Virtus with the 4 kills may be the saving grace for Relax. There's also a mole behind this, I think. We saw some rockets, and now it looks like Terrarn on the run. These Virtuses able to keep the Teal Genetron army away. Not bad. A very good hold for Relax. And another node here. I love Relax just being a troll with these nodes. He's like, oh, you wanted to expand there? No, you don't. You can't do that. Oh, it looks like a lot of manufacturers are being placed. If I'm not mistaken, let's take a quick look. Here we go, more manufacturers. These are the barracks equivalent for the Genetron, so a lot more macro structures coming down for our Teal Genetron player. Now, the Virtus does not come from the manufacturer. It comes from the fabricator. So here we go. There's our fabricator. This is like our factory equivalent for the Genetron. Looks like Relax has his eyes on the high-yield expansion, clearing up those rocks. And Terrarn actually not bothering with it at all. And I feel like these expansions have been relatively safe throughout the game. This expansion is hilarious to me. Lots of repulsors as well. These are anti-ground static defense structures. More nodes as well. As I said earlier, the nodes are our supply depot equivalent for the Genetron. They also provide power, so they generate 1 power per second. That is your shared energy for this race. Both players still relatively identical in supply. 130 supply to 138. A slight lead for our Teal player, but nothing too crazy. So these players have been really evenly matched. I suspect, though, this high-yield expansion is really going to help Relax a lot. And here we go. I missed it. I missed it on the supply tab, or sorry, on the production tab. Our Jupiters. These are such a sick unit. This is basically a bomber ship. So, as you can see, we have all kinds of abilities. So we have a Revenant Bomb, drops a bomb at the target point, which deals 15 damage and applies 10 heat in an area. But we also have Accelerator ability. And when you accelerate, at least in the version that I cast in the past, the Jupiter would cloak and then bomb the location that you're accelerating to. So we'll see if that's still the case. Let's actually take a look. So activates additional thrusters, massively increasing speed while consuming energy and power. Sustained speed after using at least 20 energy and power causes the caster to become cloaked. Such a sick unit. We have to see it in action. This thing wipes mineral lines, man. It's insane. This is not a cheap unit, though. I'll see if I can take a look at how much it costs in a second, but we want to keep an eye on the action as well. Let's quickly look. So we have the assembly array. The assembly array is our starport equivalent, and here it is, the Jupiter. So it's 150 minerals, but 200 gas. So it's a little more expensive on the gas. And here we go. Some bombs. Terrarn with the game sense, though, able to dodge them. And the music picking up as well. Terrarn finding himself in a corner, though. These vertices doing massive damage. Will the Blitzer survive? I'm not so sure. And another Jupiter on top of this teal Genetron army. Relax coming out ahead in this engagement. Let's take a look at the resources lost. Still virtually identical. 14,000 to almost 13,000, so a slight deficit for Terrarn, our teal Genetron player, but nothing too crazy. Man, what a sick engagement, the Jupiter. Again, one of my favorite units. You have to take a shot now. This Jupiter with 0 kills, but it doesn't matter. It's still a badass unit, man. Ooh, and the Tesla. So the Tesla is kind of a support unit. It has a couple abilities. So it has a cloak charge that it can drop, which cloaks units within the area. You also have a shock charge, which does DPS in an area. So pretty cool unit. It's got a lot of utility. I'm a big fan of the cloak charge, though. But with the processors being so available and being a detector unit, right here, the processor, yeah, cloak isn't that big of a deal. But it's still cool. We're probably going to see, yep, the shock charge is used more often, though. Lots of fixers for our teal player as well. And here it is, the Jupiter with 1 kill to its name. We're going to keep an eye on that because I want to see it do some massive AoE damage. Now, these shock charges will be here for a little while. This is actually forcing Terrarn to move to a different part of the map, and I like that he's using the fixers offensively. I mean, look at this. This is almost entirely fixers here. Ooh, base number 4 under fire. All that fire, I believe, is from the Jupiter. The Jupiter does go down, unfortunately, but this main mining structure for our teal Genetron player does go down. This reduces Terrarn to 3 bases. Meanwhile, we have a lot of bases for Relax. These workers going down, though. How many workers killed? So 33 workers killed by green, 24 killed by teal. The evacuation of the ACRs from, I think this is what, base number 4 or 5? Ooh, I like this position on the interdictor. The interdictor is an anti-air static defense structure. Kind of cloaked in the fog. Not a bad position for that at all. Meanwhile, another big engagement on the top middle side of the map, more like the top left-hand side of the map. Will Terrarn be able to whittle down this green Genetron army? The tech is just looking so scary for Relax right now. Another Jupiter bomb on the back of this army. It kind of missed. Terrarn, though, throwing out the GG. Relax returning the GG, taking the victory. What a cool custom matchup. If you guys enjoyed what you saw, please consider shooting me a like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you want me to cast any of your own games, I will leave my email and Discord in the description below. And I'll see you guys on the next one.